Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back here with Lee Grigsby, and it's exciting to have our friend here, our coach back here. Everything is just all good. Lee, please say
Love it.
us. Go ahead.
How's everybody doing? Happy Tuesday. Jill, always a pleasure to be here with you too.
Ditto.
I am Lee Grigsby, the founder and health and life coach of LiveAllGood Coaching. There's plenty of places you can find me, but you can start at liveallgood.com. You can find me on social media, LiveAllGood Coaching, Facebook and Instagram. You can also find me at Lee Grigsby on Facebook. You can also reach out to me by email or text or call. The email is liveallgood, the number 44 at gmail.com. The phone number is 202-455-6104.
Perfectly. And what do you have in store for us today?
Well, before we start every session on Tuesday, we're going to take a deeper dive into appreciative communication. So we will definitely dive into that.
Perfect.
I think we're going to disrupt some thought processes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take a deep dive. But first,
Yes.
we have to start with what is working well for the week.
Well, it only goes by my weekend because the week itself is too busy.
Sure.
But the weekend, I got to decorate the inside of my house, and I got to do, and my kids loved it. They had a great time. But we got to do a breakfast with Santa, so that was like family time, and they got to see Santa. Got him presents, so that was super
Very
cool, and that
cool.
makes me happy. Yeah. What about you?
That's awesome. Well, then we're going to go with the same theme, right?
You saw Santa?
No,
Oh,
not
my
yet.
God.
Not yet. But as far as family time, right? So my daughter ran cross country this fall, her first time doing a sports club through school. And what we wanted to do, she did really well. She improved over the year. So what we wanted to do now was continue that and keep her going for track season in the fall or in the spring, I mean. So she has run with me now about 3 weeks in a row. But the cool thing is that she actually looks forward to it. My 12-year-old, who's soon to be 25 because she acts like it, but she has shared it like with teachers. She's shared it with her friends, and she's like, yeah, I'm doing this run with my dad. I'm doing this. And we go out Sunday morning about 8:30, cold weather. No, we dress appropriately, but that's working well. It is one of those things that we share. She loves it, and it's keeping me healthy too.
Oh, wonderful. Good to hear. Good.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'll take that. I
Absolutely.
think any parent will take anything that their kids like to do with them.
It's true.
So
Yeah. Even if it's a little grueling, it's just you go that
that's
extra
right.
mile because it means so much to them. You
Absolutely.
got to uplift them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So talking about our children and speaking about appreciative communication, how often, Jill, do your kids? They're 4 and 6, I think you said, right?
Yep.
Somewhere around
Good
there.
memory.
So the 6-year-old probably, will come in and start telling you a story. Well, yeah, this made me angry, or I was talking about it, and let's do that, and very general, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like trying to go back through all, like you don't have enough to think about. What is this? What is that he's talking about, right? So appreciative communication in communication, right? How often do we assume that the other person we're talking to, they understand the conversation that's already started in our head,
All the
right?
time. I
Mhm.
working my business, I don't. I always tell everyone I need the who, the when, the where, and the why. It's like a press release. Don't talk to me unless you have all that because it just bothers me because just because I have a master's
Mhm.
in communication doesn't mean I'm good at communicating, but like I need to know the whole story. Like you come to me with a problem, but I don't know the who, what, where, when, why. This is just so, yeah. So I like a
Well,
full story.
that's awesome because that is a huge teaser to appreciative communication.
Oh, good. Glad I got it
So
right.
there you go. But then, so there's the other part, right? So we assume that someone understands what we've already started in our head.
Mm-hmm.
So we use those terms, right? It, this, that, he, she, whatever, who you're talking about. The second part, probably the most important part, is understanding that we all have a different map, right? So right now, we're on different maps for communication. Yes, well, we're on the same map right now because we're on the podcast together.
Yes, yes. But I
but,
know what you mean.
but yeah, there's different maps. So we could be having a conversation, and I'll say something, but that's not your frame of reference. So understanding that everyone is on a different map, but then communicating so that they can relate to either your map or you relate to what's on their map. So, example, right? Easy example here. If, and I'll even use myself. If I were to say, before, Jill, you have any pets?
A cat named Cuddles. Yes. He
Oh,
is
this
a
is
boy. He's born in 2008. I'll give you specifics. Just took him to the vet last weekend. But yes, I do have a cat named Cuddles. He's a tabby rescue.
oh, this is not going to be a great example then,
Oh
but
gosh,
it's good.
sorry.
No, no, no. It's actually going to work very well. So, if I were to say, I don't like cats. You, before I knew that, could possibly have a judgment,
Judge and say,
and
ew.
and but you won't say it, right? But you'll be thinking it. You'll say, okay, well, I do like cats, but in your mind, you're thinking,
What's wrong
I'm
with this
not.
guy not to like cats? No, but
Exactly.
I'm the open,
Ex-
honest. People who love cats or hate them, and vice versa with dogs. I'm not a dog person.
Very true.
So it
Very
is what
true.
it is, but I'm fine. I still love all animals, but I prefer to have a cat because it's easier and I don't have time to walk a dog. So I
A
look at
lot more
those things. So,
independent. Absolutely.
yes. So I don't want to hate at you if you don't like cats. But yes,
Well,
people do that.
I do like cats, but I just don't like them as pets.
Got
Not
it.
not for
Perfect.
me.
And that's a good way to say it.
Absolutely, right? So that's being more specific.
Mhm.
Or if there was a story, like let's say, oh man, one time my grandmother, this is not true by the way, but my grandmother had a cat and I went to pet it and it scratched my arm. Oh, okay. That's my map. See, that's my frame of reference for not liking cats. But then you, as the pet owner who has a cat, would understand, oh, okay, that's his frame of reference. He does not like cats because he got scratched. And then that stayed with him all the way. So
Yes.
that's the qualifying statement there,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
But in order to get to that part, like you teased, you have to have, or, say the who, the when, the what, or the where,
I can't
right?
forgot
So,
now. Yeah, but yeah, all those one
yeah,
W
you have to
questions.
specify those things. So if I were to say, man, I don't like cats, your next question would be, why
Why?
don't you like cats? Right. So let's take this a little further, right? Let's have a bit deeper example. This happens frequently, right? How many times do you hear, oh, I hate women drivers? Have you heard that one before
Mhm.
at all?
Yes.
Is that is that fair? Is that true? Right? If you were to say, are all women drivers awful?
Mhm. No, they're
That
not. But
that's making an assumption that A, all women drivers are
are.
bad,
Mhm.
or that all drivers who are men are great drivers, right?
Yep.
That's making an assumption.
Okay.
Getting on that map, the question would be, well, what happened? Why do you think that all women are bad drivers? Then the story comes out. Well, there was this one time a couple years ago where I was on the freeway and this lady rear-ended me. Oh,
Uh-huh.
ding! You see that they then associated that memory and that experience, but just generalized all women drivers.
Okay.
You see, so being able to, as the person who is listening, being able to get the who, the what,
What?
the where. So when you get that and they give you the experience, you can say, "Oh man, I am so sorry that you got rear-ended,
By
several years ago."
woman.
And
Mhm. Mhm.
well, you don't even have to say
But
woman, right? I'm sorry you got
but
rear-ended, but are all women bad drivers? And they'll probably say no after you've acknowledged
college.
what happened to them. You know. That way they can let go of the generalization,
Okay.
but then their experience is still valid.
Okay.
So
Makes
that's
sense.
yeah, that's another that's in, so we do a lot. We do that a lot about gender, right? And that was just one example, right? Women drivers, because we have heard that a lot. We do it across many different barriers, right? We do it across racial
Yeah.
barriers.
Yeah.
So let's dig into that one, okay? If I were to sit here and say, "Mm, I hate it when white people say I should just play sports and that I'm not good enough to do X," right?
Mm-hmm.
That very well could be a valid point, but do all white people say that?
No. Yeah.
Or
So
do I
true.
hate all white people for that? No,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the next question would be, well, why do you think all white people feel that way? And then I would tell you, and this is a true story, back when I was in college, we were playing a pickup game, me, my best friend, and his dad. And there was a white guy who was on the court, and we were better than him.
Mm-hmm.
We were torching him on the court. So he got mad, and I promise you, this is a true story. He got mad and said something to the effect of, "Yeah, well, at least I don't get D's in college."
Mm.
Whoa, first of
Wow.
all, I'm actually here in college.
Uh-huh.
Second of all, I'm I'm taking you to school on the court, so I get it. You're mad.
Uh-huh.
But if I took that experience and applied it to every white man
Right.
from here on out,
Forget it. Your life would be horrible. You'd be
and
so
that's
hateful. You'd be so negative. You'd be so you have to learn to forgive and understand that some people don't
mhm.
even understand what they're saying. And they probably don't even mean it that way, but it came out that
Oh,
way. So
but
it's
no, he meant it.
oh yeah.
He meant it for sure. But you make a good point. There are times when people make statements that they don't mean to be harmful, but they turn out to be very detrimental because it's emotional and psychological baggage that you carry with you because you haven't fully processed it. Because at the moment, I was 18, so I was highly angry. That's
Yeah.
an understatement. I will say this, and this is key too. My best friend's dad calmed me. Like we had to, take us off the court, calmed us down, and was like, "I got this. Don't worry." And didn't respond in any negative way, but guarded the guy, played against him while we're playing teams, and let the game speak for itself. Torched the guy, and then we left. But that was a lesson I learned too, right? You don't have to
You don't have
respond
to
with anger. You don't have to respond with
saying
two
hate
wrongs.
back to yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Two
yeah. Mhm.
wrongs don't make a right. It really is, okay, you know what? There is something going on with that person. So he responded that way. Again, I was 18, so I didn't know any better other than to respond with anger, right? But I learned something from my friend's dad at the time too. So I say all that to say, and like you said, there are people who may say something unintentionally, may say it intentionally, but to understand that we all have a different map. And so then to ask the qualifying questions, right? Lee, why do you hate all white guys who say that about black guys who play sports?
Mhm.
You know, then that story comes out. Then you say, man, I'm so sorry that
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 happened to
one guy,
you.
yeah, right? That's the qualifying thing. But now you have helped me take down that wall and I can relate and you can relate. And so now we can see each other's map
Yeah.
because you qualified what happened, but I was also able to be specific. It wasn't all, it's just the one that made me mad, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, clearly I'm a little older than 18, so there's been some
10
experiences
years,
along the
10
way.
years ago. It was just 10 years ago. Oh my goodness.
but those are the keys to appreciative communication, you know. Or if like say you're at your job, right? And something happens and you hate all I hate it when men say X, right?
Guilty. I say that all the time. I do. Guilty. Hate when men.
No.
I do. I do. I do. I do. Come on.
Sure.
All men are this way, and all men. I do say that a lot. Like men are from
Right.
Mars, women are from Venus. They just think differently, and they're.
Well, now that is entirely true.
Oh,
Well,
so
I
that
mean,
is
the thought process, yes,
is
but when it happens, right? Is it true that all men have done the one thing that you got mad about?
no, no.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the. I'll share another story. My daughter came home the other day and talking about the boys in her class, and we all know how kids are at that age, right? It's all kind of crazy in middle school. So she's like, "Oh yeah, hey dad, look at this. You know, the boys come up to the girls like this, and like how they approach them. Oh, you know, whatever." She was walking and rubbing her hands, doing a little swagger, and I was like, "Huh." I was like, "All the boys do that?" Well, no, not really. Oh, okay, all right. I said, "Well, how many? Most?" She's like, "Well," then she came up with a name. I won't say the name, but she said, "Yeah, so and so does this to all the." I was like, "Oh, so he does it." She was like, "Yeah, yeah, he does that." I was like, "Does anybody else?" "Oh, a few." So I got her to qualify. It's this individual and a
Got it.
few that do it to kind of just. She doesn't know I was doing that, but help her understand that not
Process that. No.
not all the boys do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have told her that at that age, boys are stupid, so it's cool.
Not all boys are stupid.
No, all at that age, all of them. Even I was, yeah, all of them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But that's that's what I wanted to dive into, right? It's in the more you think about it, and this is kind of what I want our listeners to really pick up on, right? That's in every area, every facet of life. I know we touched on, you know, a racial part of it. We touched on a gender part, but stop and think. How often do you make an overgeneralized statement? Yeah. And you don't mean to.
Can be offensive.
It could be offensive.
Yeah.
It's highly inaccurate.
And yeah.
But then you make that generalized statement in public. Then someone hears that statement. They make a general assumption about you and your character when really that's it. And so you can imagine how that chain just continues.
Trickle down, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I really want our listeners to think about that. I really want you to take a moment and even over the next week, right? Before we get back together next week. Over the next week, think about how many times it happens.
Okay.
I'm not asking you to change it. I'm not telling you to do something different. Just when I want you to start catching yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Build the awareness. Is I'd like to hear if you can share one story of one of those times for you.
Oh, me personally?
Yeah. If you want.
Yeah. Okay. and it's more, I would say more racial.
Sure.
I'll explain what happened. So my old job, we used to get car service to work because it was at 2 a.m. So we were allowed to get car service, right? So that's a nice, not really home.
2 a.m.
Middle of the night in New York City, that's what people do. So the car service company, every time I got in the car, the person didn't know how to drive. I ended up, first of all, I stopped taking car service and I started driving myself because I really couldn't handle it anymore. But it was an overgeneralization. It's wrong for me to say. And I don't even know if I'm going to say it wrong or right, but I don't care. It's just honest what I used to say. I used to say, these Asian men cannot drive a vehicle. I used to say the Asians, they can't drive. It wasn't women. I said Asians. And mark my word, every time I got in the car and I was like, oh. And again, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say Asian anymore. Is it Oriental? Is it? I don't know. It's appropriate.
We're just being transparent at this point about how you felt. Yep.
So I was like, always stepping on the brakes, tapping the brakes. I'd be like this all morning and then it'd be so slow. And then I was just like, well, how come none of them can drive? So that is so discriminatory. That is mean. That is,
Mhm.
And it's crazy because not all of them drive that way. And I'm
Mhm.
generalizing them. And just because they look a certain way, which is wrong, but I'm generalizing it. I've done it. Oh my gosh, I really have. And then, long story short, I stopped taking car service and I used to drive myself. And I don't take car service anymore because the truth is, I don't trust. I drive. My family is a bunch of truck drivers,
Mhm.
so I have this instinctive.
So
I know the
you don't
route. I want to.
trust you don't trust any drivers.
No. Plus, I report on traffic for all these years. So I know the roads and I know this and know the best ways. And I'm always like, so I'm a little demanding when it comes to where I want to go and the best route and all that. So
Sure.
I know it's partially me, but I want to get there the right way, the best way. But that it was always stop and go, stop and go. So was I wrong? Yes. Is it not true? I acknowledge my faults. And I used to say that all the time to people. I don't say it
Mhm.
anymore. But back then I used to.
Well, let's take that, and I want to dive into that a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to offer you the fact that it's not right or wrong. Like you said, I was wrong for it, right? Let's not think in terms of right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think in terms of
What's
that's what
mean?
was well, yes, and it was related to your experience,
Yes.
right?
Well,
But but you acknowledged it,
yeah.
and the fact that you are aware of it and understand it was inaccurate, it
Mm-hmm.
was incorrect, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what that's the growth part. That's how that
Absolutely.
works. Now, you also had a choice. You chose to start driving, but it's partially because you have a better understanding of the roads, first of all.
Uh-huh.
But the other part was you could have kept the same attitude, even if you're driving yourself.
Yeah.
But you chose to recognize, oh, Jill, that was not quite right. What was I thinking? I literally just categorized an entire race of people
Yeah.
by one person's inability to drive.
Yeah. It's really true. It is. And same
Yeah.
concept with women. I used to be like, that girl's boobs are so big. She's such a slut. Like, what? I'm like, wait, I have big boobs. I got breast implants when I was like 21. I'm like, wait, I'm that big boob slut girl, but I'm not. But that's what
Hmm.
we
You
look at
so
people and we
and
judge them. And it's like,
absolutely
oh my gosh, I see cleavage. That means she is slutty. She's whorish. She's
asking
not
for
attention. That's what she wants. No, she really,
yes.
my girlfriend dresses that way. She's amazing. It's just, that's her body. She likes it. And she's so confident. And it's not that she's a slut, but that's what I used to, maybe let's say that I'm not gonna say slut, but like, that's what I used to think about women. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh my God, people thinking
Absolutely.
I'm in that. Cause now my boobs look big. And I'm like, oh God, is that what people are
It
judging me now?
and
Then
that is
I,
it's the judgment part. It is so critical. Judgment
we
and
all do it.
so we
Unfortunately,
have
you
to
got to
be
learn though.
accurate.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be accurate with
Bimbo, not
how
really slut. It's bimbo, but whatever. You know what I was thinking.
with how you feel, right? If your judgment was created from an experience, right? It's okay. We're not saying the experience didn't happen, but remove the judgment and the experience is here, but the facts are here,
Yeah.
right? That's what that's how you get to appreciative communication. That's how you get to understanding someone who is different than you. That's how you get to working with and celebrating and appreciating someone who's different than you. That that is the key. And I'm so happy that you chose the growth route, right? There's so many
Mm-hmm.
people. I'll tell you this too. This as we're talking about it, a lot of times what happens when someone has to have a growth mindset, you know what gets in the way? Pride. Pride gets in the way because no one wants to be wrong.
Wrong.
So that's why I tried to steer away from let's not talk about it in terms of right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
Because if you again, that's another way to feel judged, right? If I'm sitting here telling our listeners and I'm telling you what I'm saying about communication is right, and if you don't communicate this way, that means you're wrong. Who's going to feel judged by that? Everybody,
Yeah.
right? Or they're going to say, who is this guy on here to tell me that I'm wrong for what I said?
Sure.
So I'm not sitting here saying anyone is right or wrong. What I want people to do is explore why you think and generalize all people do this. Or all people, whatever your generalization statement is, why do you think that? That's what I want you to come away with. It's not that it's wrong or it's right. It's not that I'm saying what I'm saying is right. What I'm telling you is I've lived this and I've seen it in action. And so if you can get on another person's map and relate to what they're thinking, why they think that way, doesn't mean you have to agree. Doesn't mean you have to accept it, but you have to relate to it. That's how you find the common ground. And by being able to get on that map, again, it's the who, the what, where, and the when. You ask them to clarify. Those are qualifying questions. So you ask them to clarify their statement. That's how that works.
So I predicted your show. I said the who, what, where, when, and why.
You did. I think. Oh wait,
too. No,
you got the memo from No, I'm kidding. That was good, but that was a great teaser. But that is how you do it.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Don't tell me.
What the heck? But it's true because you teach our youth this. Like, my kids are young and they see kind of how I react. Or so if they start reacting that way, then I have to try to teach them now at a young age. Like, maybe you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't think that way. Like, why do you say he stinks at football? Well, because I throw farther. I'm like, well, but he's good in different ways. Like,
there you go.
That's what happens with him, like on the field. Well, wasn't I the best football player? I said, well, you were the best at throwing, but he was the best at kicking, whatever. I'm like, so like I try to make it seem like everyone has a good, you're all good, and you may be good in different areas of the same thing, but
absolutely
teach them not to be like, I'm the best and he sucks. No, it's you're really good at that and he sucks at that, and you suck at that, but he's good at that. Like, or
even getting them to set their own goal, right?
Yeah.
What goal do they want? I want you to be the best you can be at quarterbacking. Did you catch all the passes that were thrown to you? No. How did you drop the one? What happened? Let's analyze that and see how you can catch each one.
Got it.
Absolutely.
All right, Lee.
Absolutely.
And wrap it up for us today.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I also want to throw out there real quick before we go, if you want to work with me, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to have a discovery session with you. Go to liveallgood.com, go to the contact page, fill out the quick, I think it's a few lines that'll get you to a discovery session with me. So you can reach me, liveallgood.com. You can find me on social media, LiveAllGood Coaching. That's Facebook, that's Instagram. Excuse me. You can find me at Lee Grigsby on Facebook. You can also reach out to me by email, liveallgood, the number 44 at gmail.com. You can also reach me by phone or text, 202-455-6104.
Perfect, Lee. Thank you for being here again.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to try to be more aware of my own behaviors all week. And you too. You're not perfect, right? It
absolutely.
Happens sometimes.
Just awareness.
It's like the awareness is key. Thank you, Lee. Have a great day. And to everyone else the same. We'll be right back with more after this quick break. So please don't go anywhere. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.